3 WEAC schools up, 3 WEAC schools down. North Central completed its 2013 non-conference schedule with an unblemished record, 3-0. But now the second season begins, CCIW play. The Cards open the conference slate at Elmhurst this weekend. We'll get you caught up and ready for Saturday right now on the Red Zone. Welcome inside the Red Zone. I'm Justin Zipser, joined by North Central College football head coach John Thorne. Thanks for joining us as always.
All right, Justin. Glad to be here.
And well, we're glad to have you because you are the new century man. 100 victories after the win this past weekend against University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. You were the second fastest coach to get to 100 wins in CCIW play, and it's been a lot of fun in your 12 years, I'm sure.
Century man, does that mean I look like I'm 100 years old? Or
No.
I just act like it.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of fun and very enjoyable. I really want to thank the entire college and the assistant coaches and the players for allowing the system to have a chance to work, because it takes a lot of cooperation from a lot of people. So now it's time to start going after conference championship.
You mentioned you were the second fastest to get to 100 wins behind Bob Reed, Augustana Hall of Fame coach. He coached from 1979 to 1994. You among 4 national championship wins, so you're among some pretty good company. So like you said, moving on to CCIW play this weekend against Elmhurst. But before we talk about that, let's talk about this weekend's past game against UW-Stevens Point, a match that certainly provided the best test that you guys have had, I would assume, for the season so far.
They really did. They were very well coached. I thought we knew they were going to be big, but they looked even bigger once they got there. And they were strong guys. They had better than average team speed, and they were physical. So it was a great test for us. The defense did some terrific things. The 3 turnovers made a huge difference, but also many other big plays on third down that happened that allowed us to keep putting our offense back out on the field. Spencer had another great day with the receivers and threw 4 touchdown passes. So it was very tight, though. It could have been a much closer game if we hadn't had the explosion plays. The first 2 games we didn't really have hardly any really big explosion plays, more than 20-yard plays. And this week we had a few of them that were really huge.
And one of them obviously was the 75-yarder to begin the game, the pass from Spencer Stanek to DeMarco Tillman. What's it like getting off to a quick start like that? First play from scrimmage, you already have 6 points on the board.
Well, my wife always says, early ripe, early rotten. So I was very nervous that we were going to say, oh man, this is really going to be easy today. And it's never easy, never easy. So DeMarco did a fabulous job. Spencer delivered the ball, and then he broke 2 tackles at the very end to turn it into a full, 75-yard touchdown. And so that was a great start. Missing the extra point made us very nervous, and we slowed down a little bit the rest of that quarter, and finally did put another one on the board in the second and third and the fourth quarter. So defensively, we had some huge stops along the way to, it looked like we were going to be able to keep the shutout the whole ball game. It was just kept getting penalties on that final drive, which gave another do-over, and they finally did score.
As we mentioned, the toughest task to date, and we take you back to the game with the game highlight to show you how. North Central head coach John Thorne looking for his 100th victory with the Cardinals. Standing in his way, University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. And this is maybe the first breakdance in football history.
The B-Boy stance doesn't help the Pointers off the bat. First play from scrimmage, and Spencer Stanek finds a wide open DeMarco Tillman. Breakdown in the Stevens Point secondary, and 75 yards equals a huge touchdown to open the game. First TD of the year for DT. 6-0 North Central. Later, Pointers QB Mitch Bowe is picked off by Michael Monterrubio. First NCC pick this season by someone not named Shane Dierking. That leads to points. Stanek to Chad O'Kane skies for the touchdown from 23 yards out. Into the second half, more NCC defense. This time Connor Douglas reads the pass from Bowe and is taken down at the 5. But that's all right. Next play, Stanek finds A.J. Thomas all alone in the end zone. 20-0 Cards. The Pointers eventually get on the board in the fourth quarter to make things interesting. Bowe finds Logan Taylor from 9 yards out, 20-7. But North Central comes back with a tutty of its own. Stanek finds Thomas again from 8 yards out. Stanek with 4 TD passes in consecutive weeks. Thorne gets his 100th win and a wedge shirt for good measure, thanks to Greg Whalen and John Ficosi. NCC at Elmhurst next Saturday.
So, Coach, we've mentioned over the last couple of weeks that the offense and defense both look very good so far this season. Special teams, sort of a hiccup here and there throughout the first 3 games. Nick Days, who hit all 58 of his extra points last year, he's missed 3 of them this year. What's the deal with Nick this year?
Well, he's never looked better than he did during camp. He was just like a machine, and he was routinely, day after day after day, making 50-yarders in practice. He had a 60-yarder in practice. So we know he's still the same Nick. He's still going to have a fabulous season. But it's sort of like a golfer. You know, you get your swing in the groove, but all of a sudden you get the shanks, and sometimes it takes a while to get rid of it. And so he's hit just a little bump in the road here. He's going to snap out of it any day now, and he'll have a tremendous season for us. Kevin stepped right in and kicked one of the extra points. So we're really happy with our kickers. We would like to see those go in, we feel bad that he's going through this little spell right now, but he bombed a couple of kickoffs into the end zone, which was a real good positive thing for him in the game. So it's going to work out. The good things are going to happen.
Well, he's the North Central all-time leading points leader throughout his career with 294, so we assume that he will indeed get back to it.
He will.
Keep it right here. We continue to chat with Coach Thorne after the break.
Yes, ready. Let's go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Welcome back inside the Red Zone. We still have head coach John Thorne with us. And head coach John Thorne, we will continue to look into the season. You have Elmhurst coming up this year, and this is a team that was a co-CCIW champion last season. They've lost 13 starters. They've lost their head coach. He's now an assistant at Syracuse University. To give you a little context about how good this program is getting over the years. 1-2 heading into this game with your team this upcoming Saturday. They've lost a lot of pieces. What do you expect out of the Bluejays this Saturday?
Well, they've been 3-0 every year for at least 5, maybe 6 years. And so we still think they're a 3-0 team. They lost their quarterback in, I believe, game number 2, partway through the game. Mm-hmm. And the whole offense just really came to a screeching halt. We think he's going to be healthy enough to play against us. We don't know for sure yet. So we're expecting them to play well. They've got a good offensive line. They're big. They zone block extremely well. And if they get their quarterback back, they have a chance to make some really good plays. Defensively, they always create difficulty. They do a lot of stunting, and their scheme is quite different than most other people play. So we're excited. We're looking forward to a really good ball game. Special teams could be the difference, especially early in the game.
Obviously, the running game is a situation that is ongoing throughout the year. You've told us as such in weeks past. This week, it seemed like it took a little bit of a step back this past week, only 1.5 yards per carry. Is that how good the defense was from Stevens Point, blocking on your side, running back not seeing holes? What would you say the problem was this past week?
Well, there's several issues that were involved. We had a great practice yesterday where we worked on staying on blocks a little bit longer, finishing blocks, running backs reading the holes a little bit better. We've got some 2-and-1 plays we're doing on offense where Spencer can pull the ball and throw. Several times when he pulled the ball, had he given the handoff, we had that one blocked. Now it didn't turn out bad where he threw it either, but a lot of the plays where we did it was strictly a run play called, we just didn't finish the block. Now a lot of that had to do with Stevens Point is a very good run defense. They're stubborn. They're not going to take people out of the box. So they had 7 in the box a lot, and always 7 that could get back to the box very quickly. The nose guard gave us fits. So we have got to get better against big, strong teams like that. Their linebackers were huge, 6'3", 240, 2 of them, and another one was 6'1" or 6'2", 228. So those are far bigger than what we're normally used to seeing. So we stopped our feet, the holes plugged. You're not going to have good results. It's the worst average per carry we've had since 2006. So we know we've got a great offensive line, and it's going to get fixed. We know that they're going to just do a great job, especially starting this week.
And we were at practice yesterday, and we saw that you were working the sled, the offensive lineman on the sled, a little bit more tough than you usually do in practice, pushing that sled across the whole field. Like you said, that has to do with holding blocks longer?
Yeah, definitely, and just getting everybody back in shape again. We were in great shape in spring ball when we had a smaller squad and we could get our reps going real fast, so we didn't have to do much conditioning.
Well, you are going for win 101 this upcoming week, and we certainly hope that we can see that against Elmhurst this week.
Well, we hope so. They're a good team, and we're excited about heading over there to play them.
We've heard what Coach has to say about his 100-win milestone. Let's check in with some players for this week's What's the Word?
Well, first of all, outside of football, Coach Thorne is one of the best guys I know. I love him to death. And on top of it, just a great football coach, obviously. Second coach in history to get to 100 wins that fast is just incredible. And we owe it all to him. I mean, he's the one who brings us in and teaches us how we're supposed to not only conduct ourselves as men, but football players.
It was great to get it for Coach Thorne here at home. I mean, he's the best coach in North Central history. He loves us so much, and it was just great to get that win at home. Anytime you can play those guys, it's going to be good work for the conference play. We went 3-0, that was our goal, and now it's time to win the conference.
It's just another chapter in our book. It's another chapter in Coach Thorne's book. He's one of the greatest coaches, in the area and around the state line. It was great. It was a great feeling to have that, and it was a great feeling to do that and get that out of the way so we can keep moving forward throughout the season. It was a great feeling.
So, Coach, the running back situation for Elmhurst, they lost Scotty Williams, who was an amazing back for them, and his younger brother, Josh Williams, is undertaking the role as the main running back. You're used to seeing the Williams brothers back there now.
Right. He's a very good athlete, and they're very good at their zone blocking scheme. So we've got some work to do. Our defense is still a little bit young in terms of completely understanding our new defense, and but Nick Slezak has just made amazing progress as our linebacker and had 14 tackles last week.
And Nick is well over the pace of 100 tackles in a season, so he's doing a great job this year.
He is.
Don't go anywhere. When the Red Zone returns, we're joined by some preseason All-Americans who are keeping up with the hype.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Thanks for keeping it locked here on the Red Zone. We're now joined by the aforementioned preseason All-American, senior safety Shane Dierking, and senior offensive lineman Jace Werkheiser. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So, Jace, we'll start with you. The offensive line has only given up a couple sacks this year, and you have a couple new pieces, well, really one only, in Pat Bolger. He's a transfer from the Air Force. How has he kind of blended into this offensive line and really solidified your statement this year so far?
He's doing a really good job. He's fit right in with the guys, and he's a hard worker, so we're really glad to have him.
Now, speaking of hard work, as we talked with Coach, that he was working you guys a little bit harder yesterday during practice on those sleds, a little bit more difficult, a little bit longer. Is that something that you've tried to do over the course of the year, hold those blocks a little bit longer? Is that something that you can improve on during the season?
I think it was well needed. We needed to realize that we were falling off blocks way too early, and I think the sled pushing it for 6 to 8 seconds each time really helped, and we really realized how long it really takes to hold a block.
Shane, well, we'll go back to you now. You are now tied for 5th all-time in North Central in interceptions. You have 10 in your career. You have 2 on the season, 1 in each game to start the season. What's led to your success really this season and throughout your North Central career?
I've been blessed to be a part of 2 great defensive systems and play with great players who know what they're doing, great D-lines, putting pressure on the quarterbacks. And we really have great communication throughout the linebacking core and the secondary. And that's something that I've seen throughout my time here at North Central, and that's something that we've seen as we've shifted defenses, and we're seeing that this year, and it's been good so far.
And we spoke with new defensive coordinator Mike Murray last week, and he told us that you are sort of the quarterback of the defense. Why do you think that is?
Just relaying coverage calls. I don't make as many checks as I used to, but just getting the call from coach and relaying it and making sure that everyone's on the same page, whether it's linebackers or in the defensive backfield, just all being on the same page. You see some defenses, a busted coverage, you break a coverage for one play and that's a touchdown. So you got to stay on top of it and you need to be 100% all the time.
And Jace, you've given Spencer Stanek a lot of time this year to throw, and it's really paid off in a big way. He's having a career season. He had a career high in yardage, 364 yards this past week against Stevens Point. What is it like to block for a quarterback like that is a mobile quarterback? Does it make it more difficult or easier because he can kind of get out of trouble a little bit?
It depends. It could go either way. I mean, sometimes when he gets out of the pocket, I have no idea where he's going. So it's kind of tough to keep on a block when I don't know where the quarterback is anymore. But I mean, I'm really happy for him. He's doing a great job this year.
And the first play of this last game against Stevens Point, a 75-yard bomb from Stanek to DeMarco Tillman. One play, and you're done. What was that like for the first play from scrimmage this week?
It was great. I mean, Coach Jeff told us that play should go for a touchdown, and we were all kind of expecting it too. So it was just good to see him get in the end zone.
He took a year off, but now DeMarco Tillman is back with the Cardinals. We explain what he did in 2012 in this week's Cardinal Corner.
For any player, a 75-yard touchdown reception on the first play from scrimmage is special. But for DeMarco Tillman, the catch was extra special. It was nearly 2 years in the making. After being a member of the 2011 Cardinals JV team, Tillman left North Central to attend Illinois Central College in 2012.
We have a very expensive education here that you have to pay for. And I just couldn't find the sources to actually pay for the next year coming back, and that was kind of difficult for me, being away from the guys and my team.
Tillman stayed busy at ICC last year, focusing on academics while training hard for a return to the Cardinals. And before this season, he got his wish, rejoining the football team while continuing to take classes at ICC. but being back didn't come without its growing pains.
I had to get a lot of condition. It was a struggle. First day at camp, I cramped up a lot. They called me gimpy. I was hurting out here.
The team's receiving core has helped lead North Central to one of its best offensive starts in school history. The 674 yards by the Cards in their first game of the season at UW La Crosse is a school record.
Some teams say they're a family. We're actually a family. We all care for each other. We all practice hard together. We all push each other. And this is the first team I've ever been on that actually wins games constantly.
And while Tillman has only chipped in 3 catches, his workload is increasing and he is showing his potential.
All right, so Shane, we talked about with Coach in the last segment that this is a team, Elmhurst, who you're playing this upcoming Saturday, a team that's losing a bunch of starters from last year to this year, and really those starters focused on offense. They have a quarterback situation as far as we're not really sure who you're going to see on Saturday. How much more difficult does that make it planning for a game when you're not sure if you're going to see 1, 2, or 3 different quarterbacks?
We're really prepared to be prepared as the starter, that he's going to come back and be healthy and ready to go at 100%. That's how you got to look at it. And, we'll just have to make some adjustments to how the other quarterbacks play if whoever's in the game. But, I don't think they're going to change much from their offense. We've seen the same offensive scheme over the past few years. They run a lot of inside zone, outside zone, and they're going to hit you with play action. So I think it's going to be the same scheme no matter who they have in there.
And running back wise, as we also mentioned with Coach, they have a new running back in there, Josh Williams, who is the younger brother of Scotty Williams. And you know Scotty Williams very well. Obviously, you've played against him for the last couple of years. From tape, do you see any similarities between the 2 games of these running backs?
Yeah, Scotty and Josh are both pretty similar. Scotty was very shifty in the hole. He had some of the best vision I've ever seen playing against a running back. Josh has some similarities. He's also that short to the ground. He's got some moves, and he's getting that vision kind of like his brother. So it's going to be interesting to see how his career plays out like Scotty's.
And we mentioned throughout the year how good of a job the offensive line has been doing, and you are among them. Also Alex Mann, John Canova, Pat Bolger, who we mentioned, and of course Greg Whalen as well, rounding out the offensive line. What did you guys talk about coming into this season? What goals did you set out for? And obviously, there's been a lot of success. You were named the D3 football team of the week for I think it was week 2. But what were the goals that you set out this year?
To win every single game and take it 1 week at a time. But as an offensive line unit, we wanted to pretty much allow no sacks throughout the year, keep a fast pace, fast tempo, so we could dominate. And I think we've been doing a pretty good job.
And we mentioned throughout the year as well that the 3 non-conference games against one conference, essentially, the WEAC conference, how has that prepared you for conference play come Saturday?
I think it's done a pretty good job. Against the 3 teams in the WEAC, I mean, they're not the top 3, but they're still in the mix in the middle, which makes them a top team in any other conference. So it was a good challenge for us, especially last week, playing a pretty tough, big defense.
And as Coach Thorne says, they grow some big guys in Wisconsin. Was that difficult for you, Shane, to go against some big guys, or were you kind of used to it from the CCIW schedules that you've had in years past?
Yeah, definitely. In the WEAC, you see they got big physical teams up there. I don't know how they breed them, but it seems like everyone top to bottom in that league has some big boys. And we saw that on their offense. Their offensive line was huge. They had a tackle that was like 6'7", 300, another tackle that was like 6'5", 290. Had a real big tight end, some big physical receivers. So, it's a great test to go against guys who are that big and physical, and that's really going to set us up well for the conference play.
So you're looking for 4-0 this weekend. Guys, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck.
Thank you.
When we return, we're joined by North Central Sports Information Director Clark Tusher to take a look at some other Cardinal fall sports. Next on the Red Zone.
Today is Saturday. 60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas. Get involved. Get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Welcome back inside the Red Zone. Cardinals SID Clark Tusher with us now to break down some other happenings in the North Central athletics universe. Clark, as always, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We will start with cross country as we usually do. They are still ranked number 1 in the nation, coming off a pretty impressive showing at the COD Invitational this past week.
Yeah, just like last week, left several guys on campus to get ready for the Notre Dame Invitational next weekend, allowing some other guys to kind of step up and run from the front and take part in the team scoring. A big race for a junior, Brent Gaither, who ran about a minute faster than he had on the course the previous week in a different meet, and wound up winning the whole event and became the conference's runner of the week for last week's meets.
And that's the third CCIW runner of the week in 4 contests. So really, North Central has been dominating, even when they have some of these guys that aren't running in the front. Usually, regardless of who they put out, they're still doing really well.
Yeah, and, some coaches might label that a JV squad or something like that. Coach Carius really hasn't been about that. Every time he's put a squad out there, he's called them the varsity, and that that's who we're running this week. And that's really a part of the experience for those guys. That he considers very important is to be able to not just be running in the middle of the pack, to actually go up and challenge for the lead and be an important part of what the team does on that given day. So certainly some guys got an opportunity to do that and stepped up in a big way. It
really shows the depth of this program. So they're getting ready for the Notre Dame Invitational, and this is a contest that they won last year. They had 3 finishers in the top 10. I assume that they want to get a similar finish this year as well.
Yeah, it's not the same field exactly as it was a year ago. Several of the teams are returning. There are a handful of highly ranked Division II and Division III squads that'll be in the field. So it's very much a championship atmosphere. It's the kind of meet that Hourly likes to go to, from time to time, to get those guys experiencing that kind of an atmosphere for what they can expect to experience at the national championships.
And the volleyball team, women's volleyball team, we talked about them last week, a tough loss against Elmhurst, a nationally ranked opponent, and they got back in the winning column in the conference against North Park.
That's a match that used to be guaranteed 3-0 sweep. North Park's made some moves in terms of personnel and recruiting and been able to improve that program a little bit. And North Central was still able to get a 3-1 win on the road. They're dealing with some injury issues right now. They're coming into a stretch where they've got about 6 home matches in a row coming up in the next week or so. So a chance for them to kind of come together and get on a roll a little bit.
Yeah, certainly. It was a good match for them because certainly they've struggled a little bit, and North Park has struggled a little bit as well, and they were really close sets, too. I mean, one of them went 29-27, the other one went 26-24. It really proves that this team can, if they really put their minds to it, can win in these close sets.
They've had a lot of close sets in the tournament matches that they've played, when they're playing multiple times a day. So they've had a lot of opportunities, in those situations to figure out what they need to do to get over the hump. This is probably as close to a veteran team as North Park's had in quite some time. So to be able to do it against a team playing on its home court like that, it really says something about the kind of mental attitude that they've developed over the past few weeks.
All right. Well, Clark, thanks for checking in. We'll see you next week, as always.
Thank you.
Once again, the Cardinals football team is back in CCIW action this coming Saturday against the Bluejays of Elmhurst College. If you can't make it down to Elmhurst on game day, be sure to check out the highlights on youtube.com/North Central Sports by the end of the night to get caught up. I'm Justin Zipser. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Red Zone.